I think everybody needs an Amber in their life who reminds them that they need to sit up straight.
I'm you, and you're me. We're here to be a student and a teacher to every single person we meet.
Hope and growth, they're very similar in the sense that it doesn't all happen at once, right? It's a series of small steps, small pieces of hope, small bits of growth, small bits of learning, small bits of doing that end up becoming something massive.
A huge point that we've expressed in this show is that you get to be who you choose to be. It's not your reaction that defines you, it's your response.
I never thought that it was going to end. I thought I was going to die.
Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We're veterans, here to talk about mental health, resilience, and the real struggles we face every day.
Our goal is to foster kindness through understanding. So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome.
Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. And then, the...
Tim, I'm so tired.
I'm not a person who likes to compare, but I have a feeling you and I are of equal tiredness at this point.
Well, we're both climbing the same mountain together, so...
Kilimanjaro. I don't know who Jaro
Kilimanjaro,
is.
teach a man to Jaro.
Stop trying to make fetch happen, Tim. Honestly, Aaron, this past almost 2 years has felt like a marathon.
That we've been sprinting.
I feel like we just got our entire past 2 years in the hyperbolic time chamber, or the room of spirit and time, depending on what your preference is for dubbing. But yeah, man, we've been training hard. We've been out there grinding, getting ready to go beat Cell, and here we are, man. Guess what? Guess what episode number this is, Aaron?
All I know is that we've leveled up. What episode is this, Tim?
Believe it or not, this is episode 100.
I'm so shocked! This is going to be a thumbnail.
I'm just going to superimpose Macaulay Culkin onto you. Macaulay Culkin? Macaulay? Is that his name?
Cullies.
I fucking love that guy. Good man. Good man. Went through a lot himself. I would love it if he would come on our show. Hey, Macaulay Culkin, you want to talk about some No Streetlights?
What's up, Gare?
But yeah, man, this is the 100th episode. And to celebrate, we're going to be talking about the 100th step.
Yeah, we sure have grown a lot. And in no small part due to our guests. It's our guests and our friends who have really shaped this show into what it is. And we're really happy to have each and every one of you along for this ride because we are going to keep growing and evolving into something bigger and better every single episode we drop. So with this being our 100th episode, we're going to ask for our first ever like goal. Tim, how many likes do we need on this video?
We need 100,000 likes on this video.
100,000 likes, and I will
100,000.
I will sell my mustache.
I will personally wax his mustache off of his face and sell the wax strip that has his mustache.
At the first ever NSLP meetup celebration, which is happening later this year.
We're going to be sending out flyers. We're going to be sending out notes, letters. We might even get a billboard. I don't know. Aaron, is that you?
You know it's me asking for you to like the video again.
Oh, Aaron, but you know I'm going to.
Do it. Do it now.
Right now?
Oh, bravo Zulu, shipmate. You've liked the video.
Oh, thanks. What do I get in return?
Our undying love and affection. And I will fight one person for you for free.
Okay, now that's a good damn deal. I'm not going to lie. I would subscribe for that.
Subscribe. I'll fight for you. Back to the episode, Timmy. So one of the reasons I'm so tired is spending all my time at Kung Fu, helping others see that the power is within them. There are no streetlights that will illuminate their path. They have to light the path from within.
Epic line delivery from Aaron. Basically, what he's saying is they have to be their own light. How awesome would it have been if I just took what you said and said exactly what you said?
Verbatim.
Basically, what Aaron is trying to say is insert verbatim.
One of the core concepts we're going to dive into this episode is the people we've met whose courage and stories have reshaped our perspective and really helped this platform grow.
I do think it's very important, Aaron, that we kind of give a brief reintroduction of who we are so the audience knows exactly, not that I haven't said your name and you said my name like 15,000 times. And I also talk about myself in the third person from time to time. Tim likes ice cream. Oh, God, please cut that.
As the person who says, I'm Aaron, let me tell you a little bit about me. I've been a podcaster for about 2 years now. We have learned a lot. One of the things I have learned is I'm you and you're me. We're here to be a student and a teacher to every single person we meet. That was one of Tim's favorite points early on, was the fact that I know everyone I meet knows something I don't, and it's my job to learn that. So in that way, we're constantly growing. We're all made of the same stuff. I'm an avid snowboarder, my friends love music and I can really jam out. But we all have that creative need to express through exploring philosophies and doing what brings us joy. So, in short, I'm Aaron, and I'm you.
And as the guy who always follows up, I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim.
I started this... Hi, Aaron, which is ironic because I started this with the intention of discussing more in depth about my alcoholism. I am a person who abused alcohol for years to the point of I never thought that it was going to end. I thought I was going to die that way. And lo and behold, I found that there actually is love in the world. And not only does it exist, but I have a piece of it and I'm allowed to have a piece of it. It's not just the love that I feel from my wife, but the love I feel from my friends. That's always been there. So starting this show, I was a person who would always talk about it, but I never was going to be about it. And I think that is one of the biggest things I've learned over these past 99 steps. I have to be about it. I can't just say I have lowered my alcohol intake, but I still drink. No, I've gone full sober. Not a touch of alcohol will touch these lips for as long as I am in control. And I highly doubt these demons are ever going to win this battle because I wake up every day choosing to box them, and they suck at boxing.
Yeah, a huge point that we've expressed in this show is that you get to be who you choose to be. It's not your reaction that defines you, it's your response.
Yeah, your first thought doesn't define you. Your second thought and your first action do. Thank you very much for that, Samantha Marker. This show and everything that we have grown, the mighty oak that we have planted all the way back in episode 1 is starting to have a little bit of shadow it's beginning to cast. We're starting to bring people in and let them relax and enjoy the peace, serenity, and the safe place that we have created. And I think that's beautiful. I want to make sure that I announce this loud and proud from the rooftops that I cannot access because my landlord lives up there. But today marks our 100th step. Each conversation has guided us from skepticism and darkness toward empathy and understanding. We're excited to celebrate this milestone with you, whether you've been here since day 1 or you're just joining us now.
While recognizing and holding space for that, we also need to recognize and hold space for where our journey began, where we skeptically and timidly discussed our own mental health.
With this being our 100th step, it's always important to remember where every journey began. And that's going to be at episode 1, which a lot of you have probably listened to if you've made it this far.
I remember a time where I wasn't sad, coming from a quote unquote broken home or a non-nuclear family or whatever you want to call it, where my mom did not believe in sugarcoating anything. So she was always very honest with us. which, looking back, maybe not the best plan.
Wow, Tim, what a powerful clip. It's astounding to think back to a couple years ago when I thought there was something I could learn that would make me whole. But through these 100 episodes, I've really realized it's not about learning, it's about doing. During our past 2 years of operation, I've struggled a lot with my depression, and sometimes my depression has struggled with me. I hope that everyone listening has learned that there's not a book you can read that's going to fix you. You have to become the person who has healed you.
Yeah, and I can find that in this namesake of this episode as well. Hope and growth, they're very similar in the sense that it doesn't all happen at once, right? It's a series of small steps, small pieces of hope, small bits of growth, small bits of learning, small bits of doing that end up becoming something massive. Take a look at how the podcast is. We started with one episode. We kept building each week. And here we are at episode 100. And on top of that, we're running a bunch of other stuff going on in the background. Aaron and I have not stopped. We keep doing these tiny steps, and looking back on it, it feels like we have an empire here. And that's every single one of you. We are simply taking our podcast and showing you that this is what life is like. You keep building. It's a mirror. That's what No Streetlights is. That's what Aaron and I are.
We keep saying that we have done so many marathons. We used to say that we had done our Shawshank Mile, but it's only a Shawshank Mile as long as you're hating it. Once you stop hating it, you'll find the light. You'll end up in the pond, washing yourself clean, and step out with a fresh set of threads. But it's not just us. We've had you along with us every step of the way. You've been here not only to learn from us, but also to teach us. So here's a quick look at someone who helped shape this show pretty drastically. One of our first ever blowout episodes. This episode we titled, Girl, You Been Gay, because we thought, what if we stopped taking ourselves so seriously? And here's a little bit from that episode. Do you regret it?
No, not for a second. I have never, and that is something I am so proud of, because there was an Amber in years past that would have clammed up, said, okay, Dad, whatever you want, I won't move in with China. I will find a man that I want to marry and or that I could stand to marry. And there was an Amber in the past that would have done that. And I never once regretted. It never even crossed my mind to not move in with China, to not marry her. Never once did I think that that was the wrong move. I am, again, so happy with my life and who I am and my character. And I have this incredible person that does love me unconditionally, that I get the honor of marrying. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
And now, here's me catching up with Amber now. The last time I introduced you, I said you were soon to be Mrs. Antoine.
Yes.
And now you're Mrs. Antoine, soon to be Mama Amber.
Yes. That is, I'm ever evolving.
Welcome back to the show. What's new? Almost nothing, it sounds like.
I know. So much has changed. I feel like that was not that long ago. I guess that was right before our wedding. And so, yes, I am officially Amber Antoine now, which is like, it feels so good to say. It feels so good to change my last name and be part of such a loving, incredible family, and share a last name with my wife is like chef's kiss. I love it. And yeah, I'm 6 days away from, if she doesn't come any sooner, from giving birth to a little girl.
That is insane. And you've already chosen a name.
Yes, her name is Mila.
Oh, what a great name.
Yeah, almost nothing has changed.
Do you remember what the core message you intended all the way back in 2013 was?
You know, I started re-listening to the episode because I was like, I don't even remember what I said. I remember we were just like, you know, going over my coming out story. So I feel like the whole theme of my coming out journey has just been like finding your people and embracing your identity. But maybe it was more insightful than maybe I had another message.
Do you feel like you really conveyed that message
I hope so. I think anytime admittedly, I was very excited to listen to the episode when it came out. And of course, I hope that's not super loud. My dog's scratching herself and she's jingling down here.
We love pets.
I think anytime you listen to yourself, like feedback, or you watch a video of yourself, there's always things you're like, ugh, I would have done that, or I would have said that different. But my truth is my truth. My story is my story. And so I've just tried to be as authentic as possible. And hopefully someone took something away from that.
Oh, that is a beautiful segue. So speaking of insightful, listening back, there were a couple points that really hit me hard because this was really one of our breakout episodes. And one of the points that resonated with me was whenever I ask, hearing all these trials and tribulations, do you regret it? And you immediately answered, no. Has that changed at all? Has he tried to reach out? And you guys chose to have a baby right away.
We did. 100%. It's been incredible. And to answer your initial question, no, I've never had regret about any part of my story. I think I said this in the episode, but I think for me choosing, and I even said this in China and I, in our wedding vows, I said like choosing China taught me how to choose myself.
Oh, wow.
Like it sounds like I was, our whole story, like I was choosing her, or I was, falling in love with her. And that's true. But really what was happening is I was choosing myself. I was choosing to hear my own voice. I was choosing to love me and put me first. And I think that's the true love story there. And that's not a slight at my wife, but like, I think that is the biggest lesson that all of this taught me is that, and that's just something I just don't regret it. I don't regret it. And that's been a theme.
I think you just defined what a soulmate is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's finding yourself. But
it really is.
Oh my gosh. Excellent work, Amber.
No, thank you.
I guess I don't have to inquire as to insights gained post-interview, because that sounds like a freaking revelation.
Yeah, no, just to answer the original question, there's no regrets, and I wouldn't change a thing.
That's so powerful. So Tim, toward the end of the interview, asks, what would you tell yourself if you could go back to yourself at any point in time? Do you remember what you said?
Yes, I remember in so many words that I said that I would, just go back and tell myself to like hear my own voice, and to listen to myself over other people. Even though I think a lot of people really have the best intentions and mean well, and I think advice can be great, but like I think we all know what's best for us.
Yeah, so the way that really impacted me was one of the sub themes that you're expressing there was sometimes people think that they have your best interest at heart, but really it's their best interest, and that's not always aligned. Mm-hmm. So that was a huge revelation for me. Did you realize you were saying that at the time?
I don't know that no. I think that was just like something that I had learned, but I don't know that that was like a core message or anything that I carried around with me. But I will say now entering into the next phase of my life as soon to be mom, and my wife and I have had many conversations about how we want to raise our daughter and how things we want to take from our childhood and things we want to leave in our childhood. And of course, you never know until they get here. And I think babies are born with so much of what they're already going to have. It's just our job to nurture that and help her figure out what that is. But I do think that message kind of came back up in our conversations. And we were saying like, I don't ever want to steer her towards or away from anything. And of course, that's easy to say now. But I think I just want to help her become whoever's already in there. And I think teaching her to hear that little voice in her that she has everything she needs inside her, and kind of help her, obviously we're going to expose her to our worldviews, and she's going to hear our take on things and how we see the world and how we think about issues and how we think about conflict and life and all of those things. But I think her worldviews and all of that will already be kind of instilled. So I think it's funny that you asked that question, because I feel like that message has come up a lot in conversations about how we want to raise our daughter.
I think the word for the episode is serendipitous. Thinking about reflecting on advice like this, even as somebody who's going through pregnancy, like, how was that?
Yeah, it's we did reciprocal IVF, which basically means I'm carrying an embryo that was made from my wife's egg and then a donor sperm.
Okay.
So being two women, two cis women, that was the way that felt for us, like the most, the way that would allow us to both participate in the pregnancy and in equal parts. So my wife is like the genetic biological parent, but I'm getting to carry and deliver. And I love that. I'm so excited about that. If we do it again, which I don't know that we will, but if we do, we would definitely do it the same way. It's been a journey. Pregnancy is pretty crazy. It's crazy. It's been a roller coaster. I'm trying to enjoy these last few days because I know there's things that I'm going to miss, but ready to evict this girl.
So I think that educates my question a little better. What would you tell Amber 9 months ago?
You know, I think bringing this full circle, I remember, reading something about how pregnancy is healing, and there's things that, deep wounds and scars that you have about yourself that pregnancy can heal. And I think I learned that. I also learned that healing is not linear. And so, my coming out story and my, just beyond my sexuality, growing apart from my family and deciding to go separate ways from the people that raised me left some deep wounds. And I think that for many years, I thought that progress was like a linear thing, that I was just going to keep getting better and keep overcoming. And I learned through the journey of, I guess I'm a mom now, but becoming a soon-to-be mom, getting pregnant, thinking about raising a child, it kind of reopened a lot of those wounds. But I try to think about it as like it allowed me to go back and maybe heal them differently or re-heal them or heal them better than I did the first time. But I think at first it sort of felt like failure, being like re-upset about things. I know that's probably not a word, but like reopening some of those wounds.
I hear you. I think it sounds to me like you and China have had a tremendous opportunity to heal, and you've chosen healing. You looked back at the things that left scars on you, and you both consciously decided, we're going to leave that in the past. We're going to let go of that, and we're going to start this with a new slate. What we care about is letting Mila be Mila without all the scar tissue that we've had to endure.
Yeah, that's much more eloquent than how I said it. That I think when you start thinking about raising another human, you definitely see your wounds and your healing journey and your past and your progress. You see it all so differently. But to your point, it gives you an opportunity to kind of, like you said, start fresh.
One of the last things I want to ask about is early on in your episode, you said you could have been a better ally. Back when you thought you were accepting, back when you thought you were good enough because you were invited to the barbecue. What could you have been doing better as an ally? Because a lot of the people listening haven't had that experience, and they think, I'm being a good trans ally because I've accepted this or that friend having a trans child.
I think a lot of people, myself included, feel that allyship is something that is self-assigned. I get to decide that I'm an ally because I feel this way. I'm okay with people being gay, so I'm an ally. I don't care if someone's trans or gender fluid or non-binary. Doesn't bother me. I don't care. So I'm an ally. I think Black people should get reparations, so I'm an ally to the Black community. Or, you know, I think that there's so many instances where people in positions of privilege are maybe hold views that are uplifting to the minority group, or, you know, are just not hateful. And I think that sometimes you feel like, well, I get to slap that ally sticker on my chest and assign myself that label. And something I have learned through people that love me and have taken the time to educate me, through educating myself, through just experience, allyship is a verb. It's something that you do every day. It's what you do in rooms where you have privilege. You know, when you're sitting at a table where maybe there isn't anybody of the minority group that you want to be an ally to, how are you standing up for them? How are you creating a seat at the table? How are you using your seat at the table to actually make real change? Even if it puts you in a situation where you're looked down on, where you're questioned, where you might lose some of that privilege that you have in that moment. It's a verb. It's something that you do day in and day out, and you don't get to decide that you're an ally just because of something you carry around in your heart. That's a great first step, but it's what you do and how you show up.
That is so beautiful a way to pair together the lesson that I gained re-listening to your episode from how it's evolved to this moment. Because something I picked up in the first interview was people will sometimes think they have your best interest at heart, but really it's their best interest, and the two are not always aligned. And what you're saying, this new lesson, which is just kind of completing this thought on the other side, is it's not okay for me to think I have your best interest at heart. I need to know what you want me to do. It just seeking that education, that how do I need to represent?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. I think it's using your privilege in spaces where, you know, there might not be a queer person there to speak up for themselves. And if there were, they might not be safe to. You know, there might not be a person of color there to represent their best interest. And same, if they were, it might not be safe for them to. So using your privilege to speak up, I think not putting the burden of educating on those minority groups to read books, learn history, learn real history, and just continue to educate yourself. So you, like, knowledge is power. So when you get into those positions where you have an opportunity to speak up, the more knowledge you have in your back pocket, to combat misinformation and to combat bigotry with, the better, the more confident you're going to feel, and the more eloquently you can convey your message. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just really using your privilege in those spaces.
Wow, you just said the quiet part loud this whole interview.
Thank you.
Which is why I think people were so affected by the first one.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
I think you are truly on your path because of the ripples you're creating.
Thank you. I hope so.
So, thanks for coming back. This is actually part of our 100th episode special.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you. Whenever we spoke after your first recording, you said you really loved Auntie Amanda's story. Because it was about finding your people and that it doesn't have to be your family. Any other episode that's topped that? Or is that still kind of like your golden, I'm going to recommend this episode every time?
Yeah, I think that was the one that like hit closest home to me because there were just so many similarities in our stories. And I think human nature is just like, we love hearing from somebody that reminds us of us, or somebody that I'm like, I could go have a drink with you and we could be friends. But I also, of course, loved Melissa's episode.
The newest one?
I think, I don't know that I've heard the newest one. I listened to the first one. I actually think I might have listened to the first one before I came on.
Oh God, that was so awkward. We did not know how to talk about interesting things.
I thought it was I think it came off very authentic. And I also think there was a lot of overlap there in just like finding healing through authenticity.
All right, fine. I'll go subscribe to the No Streetlights podcast.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I've listened to many episodes though. So you guys do great work, and congratulations on 100 episodes.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for coming back on.
Absolutely.
Again, good luck digesting that.
Thank you.
Well, have a good one.
Thanks. You too, Aaron. Bye.
It is amazing how much we could pull from that initial episode and what we've learned since. Dude, our old intro had it right.
Which one?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm so glad Amber agreed to sit back down and talk with you and give us and the audience an update on where she's been since then. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. A very long time since we've had the opportunity to sit down with her and hear the struggles and perseverance that she had found in her life. And the thing is it's not like she blinked out of existence after her episode ended. She continued living a whole existence. And I'm just so glad we had the opportunity to hear from her again.
And her posture has been pretty good.
I think that's really important. Mine has been terrible. I think everybody needs an Amber in their life who reminds them that they need to sit up straight. I do think it's really important, Aaron, that we not only talk about the people who've had a major impact on the show, but the people whom had a major impact because of the show.
Of whom are you referring, Timothy?
That is going to be our top contributor over on Patreon, a very dear friend of mine, and somebody who's made a leap before I did. So, everybody, I am proud to reintroduce one of my greatest friends, Ketria. Today, I get to sit down with my friend who has left me and now is inspiring and doing her own thing out there in the world. Ketria, thank you for joining me on this incredible milestone.
Thank you for having me. And I haven't left. It's just to see you later.
It's not goodbye. It's see you later.
Exactly.
Ketria, for us to get this conversation rolling, I think it'd be awesome if you were able to give the audience a quick update on kind of how life has unfolded for you since you recorded with us way back like a year ago.
Can't believe it's been a year, but I have a huge update. I am now a civilian, so I've cut ties with the active duty side of the Navy, and I think this is the happiest that I've been and most certain about a decision that I've been in a very long time. I remember being kind of down in the dumps during my first episode with you, and currently I just feel like my life is glowing, and I've done a lot of healing and like self-work that I never thought I would do because of one stigma or another about, mental health. So I went to talk therapy, and then I went ahead and pursued some medications to see how that could help, without being too crazy. Like, I'm not a pill popper or anything, but I definitely feel the improvement in my life, and it's so noticeable. I'm so much happier and I'm relaxed. My anxiety is under control. I can make level-headed decisions about, emotional responses, and that's a life-changing thing for me.
Wow.
It is wow.
Yeah, wow.
I definitely have you and Brittany to thank for that. You guys have encouraged me since day one to, take a chance on myself to find, help for the things that I always thought were something I had to deal with alone.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the start of that journey for me, was listening to your podcast. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it is true. So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Of course. I have a really good relationship that I'm in. We are growing together and healing together, and we're just so supportive of each other, and we have a lot of goals for our future. Super excited about that. And the Navy's not in the way anymore to decide for me to decide that, I'm going to have struggles. So now I get to handle the civilian side of life, and I'm excited. So I'd say I'm doing pretty damn good.
Jeez. Yeah, no, it's awesome because you've made a leap that I'm going to be making soon. So I'm going to be reaching out and being like, hey, Ketria, how did you deal with X, Y, and Z?
Perfect.
But it's something that we covered in Pickle's episode back in episode 89, where we talked about the transitioning from military to civilian and how much it can actually impact people. And honestly, it's amazing to hear where your journey has taken you since you last sat down with us. You've done a lot of healing, a lot of reflection. You've made some major life changes and choices. And you find yourself in an area. I don't know the people who are listening to this, if you're not checking this out over on YouTube, but you go and see Ketria right now. She's glowing in this video. It's amazing.
Are you sure it's not the lighting?
So, Ketria, I do want to talk about, looking back on your episode, what was the central message that you were hoping people would take away from it?
That even if you felt like you were drowning in the moment, that there is still hope and there is a way to overcome what you're going through.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful and inspiring message, very meaningful. So, on a personal level, were there any insights or messages from your conversation that impacted or resonated with you afterwards? Like, did you take your own advice that you were giving to people?
I did actually. So I know it wasn't really discussed on the episode itself, but I do remember talking with you and Britt about making that big decision and leap for, active duty to civilian change, and me wanting you guys to be happy and, safe and building a life with each other without having that nagging thing in the middle of the Navy,
Yeah.
The military is amazing in its own ways, but I don't think it's very conducive for relationships to be completely comfortable, and then I was like, wait, I want that happiness for myself too. And if I believe in you, then why couldn't I believe in me? And so then I did. I went ahead and gave myself the chance, believed in myself, and here I am, just so happy and so relieved in this decision.
That's really good. It's amazing the ripple effects that these conversations can have, whether you're sitting down and, recording with us, or if you're just talking with us on your regular day to day. That conversation had such an impact on you that you decided you wanted to take your own chances and have your own leap of faith. It's beautiful because whenever we were discussing the idea of possibly staying in or getting out, I could see the weight lift off of your shoulders when you're like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to do this. And I was like, yeah. And now, because it's true, right? The military, it does have its own amazing things about it. And being a member of this service is so incredible in so many different ways. But there's this looming shadow over what it's like having like an at-home, that work-life balance gets really, really blurry once you start getting into the weeds of what your specific duties are, especially if you find yourself in the Navy on a ship and you're on a deployment. That kind of stuff is really difficult to handle in relationships. And I'm not thinking that, like you and I, we're in a good place in our relationship. I think we could have handled those kind of adversities, but you have to start asking yourself if that stress is worth it. And I really do appreciate you kind of sharing how those messages had affected you. What I'm thinking of right now is I would like you to speak directly to the listeners and kind of give them advice. If they find themselves in a similar place where you were during your recording, do you have any kind of advice or words of encouragement that you could offer to them in order to help them take their next steps?
I do know that usually the decisions or the choices for change that feel the scariest and the most unattainable are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact for the better on your life. Change is scary, but sometimes change is necessary, and a little bit of discomfort is going to bring you a lot of joy in the future. You just have to get through that initial part.
Yeah, I've been working on this concept and trying to employ it in my day-to-day, but usually it's the areas that feel the most difficult where the most growth will happen, especially in those kind of decisions or conversations. It's in the discomfort that you're going to find the area for expansion and growth. And I think that's kind of the message that you're able to impart upon our listeners now. You found yourself in a situation where you had to make a decision that was uncomfortable and tough, and here you are glowing. I mean, it's like the sun is exploding out over there. I have to turn the brightness down on my screen here.
It's because I'm so pale, Tim. It's okay.
Okay, well, I'm also very pale. I just have very good lighting
Yeah.
Somebody out there is like, this guy's lighting as shit. He's
No.
no. They're like, are you kidding me? He looks like that Coca-Cola shirt he's wearing. God dang.
That's funny. No, I do feel it internally though. I really do. And like everything that's ever caused me emotional strife, you know, it doesn't matter anymore. And it's just so easy to let it roll off like water on a duck.
And I think that's a very meaningful message for our listeners. I do want to ask you, looking back on it, is there anything that you wish you had shared at that time that you didn't? Is there any kind of advice or struggles that you were facing at the time that you kind of wish you had spoken on but didn't get the opportunity to do so?
I mean, I feel like there is always something to improve on when you're critiquing yourself, but I do think I just want so badly for people to know that no matter how bad they think they are or how much they've messed up in life or how severe the consequences for decisions that they've made can be, that as long as you're working to better yourself, it's going to get better. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You're just going to have to kind of own up a little bit and go through those consequences, and then you can be who you want to be.
That was one of my main reasons for wanting to get into No Streetlights. There was a time period where I just thought I was a bad person. You know, I was drinking like crazy. I just didn't care about personal relationships or talking to people on a personal level. You know, I just thought I was unworthy of love. And looking back on that and seeing where my life has gone in the past 5 years to now, I completely agree with you. People working towards bettering yourself and creating a positive impact in places where you had left a negative one, that's incredible. That takes a lot of strength and a lot of power. And owning up to your previous mistakes and being a person who is aiming to be part of the positivity in the collective consciousness, that's where we find our greater self. And you're doing an amazing job at that. I would argue that you are nowhere near a bad person. And you have spent a lot of time working on yourself. And if you've ever made any mistakes in the past, regardless of what they are, it doesn't matter. You are working towards bettering yourself and bettering the world around you. So amazing job, Ketria.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that.
Well, I really want to thank you for reconnecting with us, especially during this huge milestone, our 100th episode. Isn't that crazy?
Celebration worthy for sure.
Yeah, seriously. And Ketria, you've been a significant part of No Streetlights. Not only have you been a guest, but you've also been a dear friend to Aaron and I. Aaron has helped you get your babies back to you out here in Italy. You took care of me. You took care of Brittany. I had food poisoning and you brought me medicine that was supposed to make me poop.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But
I
on top of all
cannot
that,
believe you just sold me out on that.
that's okay. It might make it in, it might not. Who knows? Maybe it'll make it to Patreon. But speaking of which, you have been our top contributor over on Patreon over this time period. You have been our fan since episode 1 or maybe episode 5, whenever you finally started listening. I don't know. But, you know, you have been our biggest supporter. So it only makes sense that you get to join us on such a massive milestone in the show. And we also get to enjoy a massive milestone of being civilians here very soon. Once Brittany and I have a place over in the States and we're settled and everything, please feel free to come out, come visit the babies, come hang out on our couch. We'll all play Phasmophobia together. That's what's on the computer screen back there, folks, because that's what we do nowadays.
On mine too.
Yeah. So I do really want to thank you again, Ketria, for joining us. Your story continues to illuminate the path forward for all of us, and you have become the human embodiment of the Be Your Own Light, the motto that Aaron and I have been preaching since at least episode 8. So thank you, seriously.
Well, thank you. Try not to get emotional. I love you guys, and you're doing something really good. If I'm not an example, I don't know what is.
You're going to be the person that we bring on stage to hype us up before our speeches every day. Be like, all right, everybody, advocate and public speaker Ketria Hausner coming to the stage to introduce No Streetlights. Ketria, take it away.
Oh, man, I'd have so much hype for y'all. It would be perfect.
Dude, off the top of your head right now, if you had to hype people up to listen to our show, what would you say?
If you really want an authentic, life-changing advice, then you're going to want to listen to Tim and Aaron.
That's right. No doubt. Thank you again to all of our listeners out there. And thank you, Ketria. You've walked every step with us, and each one of those steps mattered. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, leads to greater light. Here's to the next 100 steps together, and we're going to go ahead and get back to the episode. Thank you, Katria.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, welcome back. It's been a pleasure to have you, and it is truly my honor to consider you a good friend of mine. Thanks for being around, Ketria.
With all of that being said, man, there's one more pivotal moment that happened in our show, Aaron, that I think is really important for us to kind of give a huge shout out to. And I think we've done it maybe once or twice in our recap episodes, but your father's episode 5, Into the Forest, was the episode that kind of took the training wheels off of No Streetlights. It allowed us to see a human being shine their light so fully, it shifted how we wanted to do the show. We went from this idea of, we'll sit down and talk about X, Y, and Z topic. We want to hear from people who've lived the life, people who've walked the walk.
That brings up several people for me because, I mean, we've already talked to Amber and Ketria, two of our really incredible friends. People have inspired us to act, like your good friend and my son, Matthew Pickle.
The beautiful thing about Matthew's episode is it inspired me, but the inspiration didn't eliminate the struggle. It just taught me how to face them. It was a really powerful episode, and that's really bringing to mind Melissa and her series of episodes she's had with us, where she's talked about personal addiction and embracing ongoing growth and helping people overcome issues that they face. Melissa has been a very powerful force on our show, and every time we sit down and talk with her, I feel like we're literally in a room with a tsunami that's just getting ready to like overturn everything and fix the world.
She's taught us a lot, and she's really helped me learn how to be. As I came back to our home, I started being more open, more receptive, listening, and trying to help people find their way back to themselves.
Yeah. Melissa, her episode shows that inspiration doesn't necessarily eliminate the struggle. It can teach us how we're going to face them. And honestly, looking back on it, Aaron and I, we're still growing. One of the biggest takeaways I had from my time with Pickle, I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to get from the episode. I thought we were going to talk a little bit about him getting out of the military, his transition, and why he's decided to start his own company where he's helping other veterans. What I ended up getting was something that shocked me. Not because it was Pickle saying it, but because it was Pickle saying it. Pickle was always one of those guys that I felt like no matter what path he was going to take, he was always going to come out on top. And sitting down with Pickle, he had the same idea, the same thought process. Hey, nothing can stop me. Nothing can beat me. Until he found himself at a brick wall. And Pickle had to ask himself a very important question. What was his purpose? And the reason why this sticks out to me so much is because when we sat down with Ryan Higginson, Ryan delved really deeply into the concept of finding one's purpose. And I felt like that was a major lesson that I needed to hear from both of them. I needed to hear it from somebody who had worked hard on discovering their purpose in life. And then I needed to hear it from somebody who I'm incredibly close to, being Pickle. Understanding that purpose, it's not something that is easy to find, but it feels right when you do find it. And thanks to Pickle, I've been able to double down on being a business owner. After recording with Pickle, I put so much time and energy and effort into just figuring out how to open up the umbrella that is No Streetlights, because I'm trying to stop the rain from pouring on as many people as I can. But I can't do that if I just show up and record week to week. There's time and energy and work that needs to be put in outside of that. I'm still growing from that. I'm still working on finding my purpose. But I feel like I'm on a right path.
Yeah, I'm so grateful not only to Pickle for being such an inspiration and really showing us how we should be walking our path, and Melissa for showing all of us that we are made of flesh and blood. We are all human beings and we're in this together. But also to Master Jason, who throughout my life has taught me that Kung Fu means mastery through time and great effort. It's not time and it's not effort. It's sustained superior performance that's going to make you live an incredible life. We've had our Mother's Day special where we showed that we are who we are because our mothers had the bravery to be themselves. But that's true with every single guest and every single episode we've recorded. There's been something we've had to learn and something we've had to do in our lives. So this 100th step isn't really about having it all figured out. It's about embracing the continual learning and realizing that we're all still growing together. Together!
Together!
So, as always, with this show and now this episode, it's not about what has been, it's about what will be. So, what's coming next, Tim?
Yeah, so the future is going to be a complicated place for me. I have no idea. I'm stepping into the world of the unknown. I'm leaving active duty. By the time this episode drops, I'm probably looking at my last 60 days in the military. And after that, well, the plan is to continue pushing with no streetlights. You know, we're not exactly raking in the money over here, but we have a mission. We have a goal. We haven't met either of those yet. In fact, I don't know if you can ever stop trying to push society towards kindness through understanding. I think that's a continual effort. So, well, for the next roughly 60 years of my life, I'm pretty happy to say that I'm going to keep working on opening this umbrella and making it wider and wider.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah. I had somebody psychoanalyze me once, and they said that I'm always constantly preparing to scale a wall that I've never faced.
Just moving the goalpost.
I'm not moving no goalpost. I'm not training to scale a wall. You know what? I'm just going to do, and I'm going to embrace that.
So really, this next portion of my life is going to be a lot about service. I've already won all the fights I need to win, but I also know I'm wrong. I'm here to help others, but helping others is how I'm going to help myself. I can't learn and grow if I don't inspire that in others. So one thing I know is I'm going to be here for you, Tim, because I've been through what you're about to go through. I survived. I know how much stress and anger and sadness is coming your way. So if I can shortcut that, I'm going to. That's our whole purpose. I'm just ready to get into the work.
Well, I appreciate that. And just a huge shout out to everybody out there. If you're thinking about volunteering or coming to work at No Streetlights Inc., just so you know, our working days are going to be starting at 1100. What's incredible too, Aaron, the future, it does look very bright, even if there is like that fog of uncertainty surrounding my future. I just have to change the way I look at it. You know, we've had so many people come on our show and tell us that perspective is everything. The way you look at things, finding gratitude even in the things that seem difficult or negative. This transition in my life, no matter how rough it's going to be, I'm going to find the gratitude in it because it's going to help me grow in a way that I didn't think I was going to need to.
That reminds me of a new product that No Streetlights Incorporated has been working diligently on.
No Streetlights Core is going to be this series where Aaron and I are going to talk about real life adversities and give you actionable steps on how to take care of it. It's meant to be more of a quicker format for the people who are on the go and just need answers now. The podcast is wonderful because here we can go in depth and go on this amazing learning experience with our guests. But not everybody has an hour to give to that. Some people need 20 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. We noticed that that's what people want, and we're going to make sure that we get the chance to help everybody.
Yeah, one of the main missions behind this series and our nonprofit is to shortcut learning. So we realized that we were being highly speculative without being operable. So we're moving into being operable, really giving you short lessons that can change your life, actionable steps to implement in order to improve your mental health, so that together we can change the world.
With No Streetlights Inc. being officially ratified as a nonprofit organization, we're going to be finding ways to reach out to the community. There are a litany of individuals out there who need help, and that's what Aaron and I want to do. Not only do we want to shortcut learning, but we want to try and remove as much hardships from your life as we can with what we're given. So keep your eyes open for that, because we're going to be working towards partnerships, advocacy, and charities.
Really, if we just take a moment to appreciate that we are here to learn from, teach, and heal one another, our capacity for love and compassion will change the world. Let's keep heading that way, side by side.
I want you all to understand that whether this is your 100th step or your first step, Aaron and I are going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And we're going to keep pushing through. We're going to hit 101, 102. We're going to skip 103. And we're going to go straight to 101.
Insert the Monty Python clip with the holy hand grenade.
The holy hand grenade.
Skip, thou shalt not skip 3.
Thou shalt not skip 3.
Then shalt thou count to 3. No more, no less.
What matters deeply to us is you and your story.
We sincerely thank you for being part of our 100-step journey. Whether this is your first or your 1,000th, your story matters to us. And we want to be able to convey it so that it can help others who are where you've been.
So go check us out over at nostreetlights.org to get a clearer understanding of our mission. Over there, you'll find resources and tools if you want to help us reach out, or if you just want to be the person who needs some reach arounds. We're here for you.
You can join us actively on platforms like Discord, which we hate, and Patreon, which we love.
You can share your personal journey and reflection with us using the celebratory hashtag NSL100steps. It's going to be on the screen here, and here.
Tim, you're killing yourself.
I know, I fucking hate myself sometimes, dude.
Together, step by step, let's continue progressing away from darkness towards greater light and hope through purpose.
So in our 3 days of the Kung Fu Kids fundraiser, we've had 3 donors. So thank you, Casey. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Donna. The $80 that you have sent us will replace, quick maths, whatever 80 out of 4,000 is for 121 mats. Someone do the math. Thank you. Donate. Share.
As I always like to say, since the beginning, all the way up until now, and I will keep doing this. Be good to yourselves and each other.
I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it 100 more until you believe me. We love you, and you're worthy of that love.
And I've said it 100 times, and I'll say it 100 more times.
You can't just copy me, Tim. Peace!
Peace! So take a breath, you're right on time. No street lights, but we'll find our way.
Welcome to the place where the light don't shine. Tim and Aaron talk about life, their climb. Every week they're here just to share with you what they've been through, how it made them new. They're here to spark change, to light the way. Through understanding we can break the chains. Kindness grows when we open our minds. So take a breath, you're right on time. No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold. Come on in, let the truth unfold. Whoa, might cut, some might make you cry, but they're here for the real, no reason to hide. Listen close, take what you need, and together we'll plant the seed. They're here to spark change, to light the way. Through understanding we can break the chains. Kindness grows when we open our minds. So take a breath, you're right on time. No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold. Come on in, let the truth unfold. Whoa, 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 whoa. So listen at your own discretion. Take what you can, make your own confession. Through the highs and lows, they're here to guide. In this space, there's nothing to hide. Oh yeah. So take a breath, relax, be welcome here. Tim and Aaron shining bright and clear. No street lights, but we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. No street lights, but we're finding our way. Dark and we're finding our way. In the dark, but we've got something to say. Lessons learned and stories untold.